Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a whole lot of waffling going on here today. I started out with this intention of having this distant hillside. No, I would like for it to be more intimate. I know it would leave more room for sky, but what's it going to be about, the sky or the foreground? I would like to maybe introduce some colors of something like Algonquin Park or Appalachia or you know, some of that sort of Cambrian Shield type region that gets those beautiful autumn colors. But we're on a lake, so I decided to jump it up a little bit. Don't let this be a distraction. This is going to be gone, this line. I can't wipe it now. I can't even wipe it later, because this purple that I put on here yesterday, it's I don't know if you can even see that. It's still wet. So the charcoal that I put on there, it's on there permanently. Yes, I wiped off a little bit of the excess, but you won't get it clean. So I'm good. It's a bit of a hindrance, but we're not going to worry about that. So let's just dive in. Let's try to come up with some kind of a reasonable, not too far away looking line of treetops. You know, I'd like there to be more detail here. I'd like to have some bush, some colorful bush, kind of like I have here. But I can't really do that. As easily and draw as much attention to it when that horizon line, whatever you want to call it, where trees meet sky, when that's so far away, it's pretty much impossible. I've mixed up a little bit of burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, as usual, for my dark lines here. You know, it's fairly common practice when you're doing this to even your outlines, if they're in the distance, to tone them down, not to have them quite as dark, but to have them lighter, because everything in the distance appears a little more vague, right? But I will also want this to be the strongest area of the painting, so I'm going to stay dark with them. I am not going to concern myself with making them more vague. I think we can do something like that, you know, and then we'll have, like this tree, I think I'll bring a trunk down, you know, showing some trunk in places, that sort of thing. Here, I'll make it more like a tree right now so that that charcoal line bothers you less. Might be a little too big right now, but I'll put it in. We'll put this one in too. Why not? And the one just in behind it. How about that? I don't want these trees to have too much of this. I think I'll have them having more of this. More vertical, less horizontal. One, two, one. One. Doesn't quite make it all the way down. You know, and then there'll be some bush here that interrupts some of the stuff that's going on. I know that this bush, you know, if I have it below the pine trees, it indicates that the bush is sort of close to the shoreline, and the evergreens are a little further away. That contradicts something that a friend of mine told me once. I went to visit him in Algonquin Park in Canada, and we went and we had a painting trip. And he pointed out to me, and I'd never realized this before, but he says, you know, the place is rife with beavers, eh? And beavers, they're not fond of that sort of turpentine-y taste, I think, of the bark. Of evergreens. So they will often, more often than not, go after the deciduous trees that are closer to shore. You know, chew them up, bring them down, use them for their lodges, etc. So when you get a good overview of some of these lakes in that area, you'll notice that indeed the you look around the lake shore and you look on the hills that are surrounding the lake, and you'll see it's really as you get away from the water that you'll see the bulk of the pines, you know, of the evergreens up away from the lake. No, I'm sorry. You'll see right around the edge of the lake, you'll see mostly pines. And when you go higher into the hills, a little bit away from the water, starting even, you know, a few yards away, you'll see that the deciduous trees are gone, because that's what the beavers like to play with. But as with everything, there are a lot of exceptions. And for the sake of the painting, I'm going to keep my deciduous trees, which, you know, ergo will be the colorful ones, I'm going to keep them close to the shoreline. Just mix up a little more of this Black Witch's Brew here. Well, no, it's not black, but you know what I mean. I really don't like this. Let's have a branch kicking off of there. Or something. I don't want a, you know, straight and a jiggly and then straight halfway down. I like to have a little more character there. Okay, should we bring that one through? We'll see. For the moment, it will be as you see it. Do I want, okay, you know what? What I'm going to do, I know that I'm reasonably happy with the way this bedrock is coming down. So let's paint it in. Let's get that water line in. I think we can put a larger rock here. Oh, a couple of lines, something to break it up, okay? Okay. And I like the idea of, I'll make it a little bit bigger actually, but I like this bush. I like this bush sitting there. You know, it's the right, or the light in the painting is going to be coming from left to right. So this bush will not be very brightly lit. Most of this will be in shadow. It's behind here that we're going to begin to pick up the light. So we'll have the drama of the dark evergreens and this stuff, you know, going here in shadow, and then in behind here we'll pick up sunlight on those hills. That right there will be the drama. This in here will be the focal area. Try to keep this bush somewhat natural looking. You know, might be a bush, it might be two bushes. I'm going to say it's two bushes basically, but is there a bit of trunk showing there? Is there not? Don't know, don't care, don't have to worry about it until later. Those are pretty dark lines for what's going to be a colorful bush, but again, we're just getting it together as far as our composition is concerned right now. I'm not going to worry too much about the less important things. Okay, now I am faced with this top. I sure don't like that. No, no, no. Actually, let's put a little. Let's have a little trunk showing here. Okay. I'm going to stand up and back up to make a decision on this because that just looks crazy. Looks like the bottom teeth on a cartoon vampire. And that will not do. I think we can work with something like that. Yeah, these trees are triangles for the moment. Just for the moment. And in certain areas, you know, when you look from a distance, you're going to see triangles. Some will be more squat, some will be more pointy. That's just how it is. But when you're doing large groups of trees, you want the gestural notion of large groups of trees. If you're doing individual trees, you want to put a little more character into them. Allow the personality to shine through. Even these will end up with a little bit of individual personality. I think we can do something like that. I think we'll come down. How is that going to be? Yeah, I think that's going to work. We'll make that a little more squat. Okay, this is a pretty big mess right here. And I'm not going to worry about it. It's getting painted over. I'm just going to have to be conscious of the fact that it's a big mess. And when I'm sitting up close to it like this, I better make sure I don't start following all these little lines. Again, I'm leaning towards a knife, but you never know. Should that one come down? these trees, these objects, these shapes. Of course they're trees. You're never going to forget they're trees. But mostly they're shapes. They're shapes that look like trees. As I was railing on about yesterday, it is important. I can't even express to you how important it is to never mind what it's supposed to be. Identify with the shape. If you make the shape that identifies or looks sort of like a tree, that's great. But get rid of the preconceived notions of what a tree is supposed to look like. Okay, I'm so tempted to just maybe we have, and you often have that, a dead trunk or two on that shore that's a little farther from us. Maybe one more. Really trying to pay attention, what lines up with things, and you've got to be kind of careful where you lay stuff in. Okay, this is, it's very thick, clumsy, looks a bit silly. It's fine, it doesn't bother me at all. These are our first strokes. Because this is adjacent to this and it's a little closer than that, let's interrupt that shape with something as well. How about right about there? Another trunk or something. Trunk stump, I guess I should say. That might go. It might not stay. Don't know. Or it might be one of the trunks of this bush, blah, 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 blah. All these ideas floating around. Some you should adhere to because they're correct. Some you should, even if you like the individual object, how it's shaped, if it doesn't work with the rest of the composition, it's got to go. It's got to go. You really got to be able to say, wow, I did all that work on it, and I really enjoyed it, and I like how individually it looks, but it doesn't mesh with everything else that's on there. It's gone, man. That may stay, that may go. I don't know. Monkeying around. I'm not going to worry about designing the sky. I'm not going to worry about designing the water. If I ultimately end up using a brush, it's possible that I will revisit those areas with the brush before I continue. But I'm still hopeful that a knife will be a nice kind of way to go about doing this. And I'll have to kind of be in the mood for it, because some days I wake up feeling like playing with a knife, and other days I wake up feeling like playing with a brush. I'll square off the camera momentarily here, so that you can get a better sort of view of what's going on. Yeah, I think all in all, the proportions, the shapes, everything else seems to be all right. So, I guess we'll talk to you soon.